Welcome to my action research plan, designed to help develop and support student learning. During my first professional placement, I undertook a school in Lethbridge Park. The school enrollment across K-6 was relatively even, 215 male students and 198 female students, collectively 413 students. Within the diverse school population, 31% were of Indigenous background and 29% were EALD students. But the most alarming statistic found was the amount of student families that were in the bottom quarter for socio-educational advantage, 78% compared to the top quarter, which only houses 1% of student households. Each year, the school is committed to improving students' literacy and numeracy skills, collectively analysing data during the school's 5 weekly data day. The school is also committed to improving attendance levels for students through a reward-based system each week to motivate them for further development. The more time spent at school, the greater chance of improvement within the KLAs. The class I was working with was Year 5, a very challenging class full of diverse students at different learning levels. The walls of the room are sectioned based on the term and the work samples chosen to be displayed. The class expectations and school expectations are shown off explicitly to ensure students follow these expectations to create a safe and inviting environment for everyone. The work samples chosen shows off the students' finished product with their own unique touch inside the room. Every day, the teacher uses raffle tickets to determine good behaviour points, and at the end of each week, will complete a raffle draw. The more tickets, the more chances to win the prize. The ability of the students varied across the different KLAs. Majority of the students were at a sound level for literacy and numeracy. There are a few students, however, that needed either one-on-one support or group learning with the teacher to understand the content. As the class is stage 3, majority of their working was completed using digital technology. However, students were easily distracted and giving into temptation of exploring other sites, including YouTube, instead of staying on task. Students generally could work together. However, some students were not permitted to work together due to prior experiences, which was noted immediately. Another factor is the lack of engagement during some lessons, as they were not to the students' liking, which at times made planning and implementing content quite difficult. Through modern literature resources from Quinn, Fry, Kettle, and Chiriac, and Lease to promote and encourage what we are wanting from students during classroom activities, and how it will benefit both students' learning and the teachers' practices and pedagogical approaches. The chosen 21st century pedagogical strategy is creative classrooms. Due to the lack of creativity within the school, it can be changed through a more welcoming environment, not just from captivating looks, but how the class is set up and the content delivered to engage students, as stated by theorists McNiff, Munson, Sawyer, and Teo. Implementing creativity to the classroom can also provide students with a sense of freedom and to be involved in the processes, moving away from a dictatorship run just by the teacher, but a collaborative approach to make the classroom environment engaging. To firstly start the action plan process, I decided that implementing the plan within mathematics for a few reasons. One reason is that maths is a correct or incorrect answer situation with a strong focus on content learning. This is beneficial as for a teacher, the content can be delivered in a way that connects each student on a different level, in particular through the multiplication strand. The focus of all students is to understand the general terminology and to provide reason for their answers, using working out strategies with both mental calculations and physical objects to support their reasoning. My first learning experience will involve simple multiplication by 10, learning about the slight tricks that students can use while multiplying a single digit by 10. Starting the lesson off with an educational video by Jack Hartman to engage the students, following the melody of the tune while learning about multiplication. following through the lesson, embarking on a simple space race pre-assessment to immediately understand where students are at mathematically, folding into a class discussion about some tricks that can be used, and to finish the lesson with a creative worksheet that facilitates student engagement through creative questions and coloured images. The second learning experiences follow on from the first lesson. A similar starting for this lesson to develop routine and familiarity for the students. This time the educational video will be on the theme of ×5. Instead of facilitating into a whole class discussion about tricks and formulas, I will bring out a single box of single block cubes to give to students a visible representation of multiplication, writing down questions on the board and getting students to use the blocks to show working out and reasons for their chosen answers. Finally, to end the lesson, playing a creative game of Snap, however putting a twist on the game, using 5 times as a basis for each card. If players place down the same card, they need to say the answer and snap. Winner has the most cards, similar to normal Snap. The final learning experience involves combining past knowledge and the learning plans used in the previous lessons. Again, starting with a Jack Hartman educational video for routine and engagement, following into a digital math game that allows students to switch their brains on through educational play. Upon completing the digital game, we keep out the cube blocks to use for physical learning to work out equations written down on the board. To complete the lesson, students are split into groups to work on parts of a multiplication tree to be displayed around the class, composing of terminology, equations, and learning processes to demonstrate students how and understand what has been taught over the course of the lessons. My data collection method has been split into the 3 learning experiences, each compressed into 3 categories: work samples, observations, and self-assessment, with a pre-assessment completed during the first lesson race worksheet. Each work sample can be analysed to collect and understand the data provided by the students, and along with a few colleagues or mentor teacher, complete a thorough analysis of the students' learning. Observations made during each experience through visual viewing and quick note-taking, which can be referred to after the lesson to identify where students are in learning and how it can be further developed. And finally, the self-assessment during the creation of the multiplication tree, as a fun assessment where students may not even know they are being assessed, instead of showing off both to the teacher and other staff members what they have learnt during the mini unit of work. My learning experiences will be specifically based around the MEE framework, in particular looking at the engagement levels during each lesson and activities. For my observations, I will be analysing through the observational notes collected during each lesson and looking at how engaging the students have been and why it is necessary to keep cognitive levels high, leading to further development in their learning journey. My reasoning for the chosen lessons is to aim at the creativity of the students to be involved within classroom practices, designed to aim at engagement for all student learning levels and capture their interests. Throughout the lessons and action plan, I will be abiding by the teaching standards set by ATSL for all professional educators to aim and achieve. These standards are followed and applied to the designed learning experiences to complement my teaching practices and how each individual student can learn at their strongest. Through my modern pedagogical approaches and carefully designed learning experiences, these professional standards can be achieved within the processes of the MEE framework and creativity in the classroom strategies. I will learn and develop my understanding of how my students are able to learn and what connects with their ideals more closely, enhancing their abilities to retain knowledge. My action plan as an educator, designed for this class, will hopefully connect with their learning practices and lead them to develop their knowledge and understanding, while simultaneously redirecting my understanding of which approaches work best for this specific class and students.